tale as old as the internal combustion engine itself. The hiss of the pneumatic wrench, the smell of oil and grease, and the sinking feeling in your gut as a man in stained overalls shakes his head and tells you it's going to be a big one. The truth is, a staggering majority of the repairs that drain your bank account are not just predictable, they're entirely preventable. But the system isn't designed to save you money. It's engineered to profit from what you don't know. The complex dance of dashboard warnings, the standard procedures that mysteriously inflate every bill, and the convenient omissions of simple preventative tasks all serve one master, and it isn't you. They thrive in the shadows of your uncertainty. But that ends today. We are about to drag the grimy, oil-soaked secrets of the auto repair industry out from under the chassis and into the light. These are the 17 critical maintenance truths they were hoping you'd never discover. These aren't just tips, they are the keys to reclaiming power, extending the life of your engine, and putting you squarely back in control of your machine. If you believe your mechanic is your partner in automotive health, this is the reality check you desperately need. Before we dive under the hood and expose these secrets, do yourself a favor and empower this channel. Hit that like button with the force of a lug nut wrench and subscribe to the community. Your support is the fuel that keeps this engine running, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Number 17. Revitalize the fuel cap's guardian. This is one of those secrets hidden in plain sight, so deceptively simple that it's almost never mentioned in any service manual or garage bay. That humble rubber O-ring, the gasket on your gas cap, is a silent and crucial guardian of your vehicle's health. Its job is far more complex than just preventing fuel from sloshing out. It is the primary seal for your entire evaporative emission system, or EVAP system. This system is designed to capture and recycle gasoline vapors that would otherwise escape into the atmosphere. The gas cap gasket maintains the precise pressure required for this system to function correctly. But here's the problem. Rubber is not immortal. It lives a hard life, exposed to gasoline fumes, ozone, and dramatic temperature swings. Over the years, it inevitably hardens, loses its flexibility, and develops microscopic cracks that are invisible to the naked eye. This degradation is the beginning of a cascade of problems. Once that perfect seal is compromised, pressure is lost. The vehicle's onboard computer, which is constantly monitoring the EVAP system's pressure, detects a leak. The result? That dreaded, ambiguous, and often costly check engine light illuminates your dashboard, sending a jolt of anxiety through most drivers. The most common diagnostic trouble code for this issue is P0455, indicating a large leak in the EVAP system. A workshop will charge you a hefty diagnostic fee, hook up a smoke machine, and eventually discover the fault lies with a gas cap that could have been serviced for pennies. Once a year, treat this vital component to a life-extending treatment. Acquire a small tube of clear silicone dielectric grease, a non-conductive, waterproof grease that nourishes rubber without degrading it. Apply a pea-sized amount to your fingertip and gently rub a thin, even layer all the way around the gasket. Don't use petroleum jelly or other oil-based products, as they can cause the rubber to swell and break down over time. Once coated, screw the cap on and off a few times to evenly distribute the grease. This simple act keeps the rubber supple, fills in those minuscule cracks, and ensures a tight, perfect seal every single time. If, however, the gasket is already visibly cracked, flattened, or feels brittle, don't attempt to save it. A new, high-quality gas cap is an inexpensive investment that provides immense peace of mind and prevents a chain reaction of fuel system issues. This tiny rubber ring is the gatekeeper, and its failure can be the first domino to fall in a long line of expensive phantom problems. Number 16. Master the art of the strategic brake bleed. Changing brake pads is a fundamental part of vehicle maintenance. As the pads wear down, the caliper pistons extend to compensate for the lost material. When you install new, thicker pads, you must push those pistons back into the caliper housing to make room. This is where a catastrophic and costly mistake is commonly made, even by some professionals in a hurry. The common but incorrect method is to use a C-clamp or a piston compression tool to simply force the piston back in. The problem with this approach is where the displaced brake fluid goes. That fluid, which is has been sitting in the hot, dirty environment of the brake caliper for tens of thousands of miles is pushed backward, up through the brake lines. This old, contaminated fluid is a toxic cocktail. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, meaning it actively absorbs moisture from the atmosphere. This water contamination drastically lowers its boiling point. Furthermore, the fluid is now filled with microscopic particles of worn seals, rust, and debris. When you force this sludge backward, it travels into the most sensitive, complex, and expensive part of your braking system, the anti-lock braking system, ABS module. This module is a labyrinth of incredibly fine solenoids, valves, and passages that can be easily clogged or damaged by contaminated fluid. An ABS module replacement can run into the thousands of dollars. The professional secret is to never push dirty fluid back into the system. Before you begin to compress the caliper piston, locate the bleeder valve on the back of the caliper. Place a properly sized box end wrench on it, attach a clear tube to the nipple, and place the other end of the tube into a catch bottle. Now, crack the bleeder valve open just a quarter turn. As you slowly and steadily compress the piston, the old, contaminated fluid will be expelled out through the bleeder valve and into your catch bottle, completely bypassing the delicate ABS module and the rest of the system. You are simultaneously making room for the new pads and flushing the most compromised fluid from the system. It is a critical 2-for-1 procedure. Once the piston is fully retracted, close the bleeder valve tightly. Repeat this for every wheel. A crucial word of caution. Throughout this process, you must keep a vigilant eye on the brake fluid level in the master cylinder reservoir under the hood. Do not let it run dry. If the level drops too low and air gets sucked into the lines, you will have a much bigger job on your hands, requiring a full system bleed to remove the spongy compressible air. A clean, controlled bleed during a pad change ensures your brakes are not only powerful but also that the sophisticated safety systems they are connected to remain protected for the long haul. Number 15. Arm yourself with the language of your vehicle. For decades, the communication between a car and its owner was a one-way street of cryptic noises and mysterious behaviors. The check engine light was the ultimate symbol of this frustrating dynamic, a glowing orange beacon of helplessness that meant an expensive trip to a mechanic was inevitable. But that power dynamic has shifted. You no longer have to be a passive participant in your vehicle's health. The key to unlocking this dialogue is the Onboard Diagnostics 2, or OBD2, scanner. Since 1996, every single car and light truck sold in the United States has been mandated to have a standardized OBD2 port, usually located under the dashboard on the driver's side. This port is a direct line to your car's brain. An OBD2 scanner, a device that can be purchased for less than the cost of a single diagnostic fee at a shop, is your personal translator. The process is brilliantly simple. With the vehicle off, you plug the scanner into the port. You then turn the ignition to the on position without starting the engine. Instantly, the scanner communicates with the vehicle's computer systems and retrieves any stored diagnostic trouble codes, or DTCs. But the true power lies in what happens next. Basic scanners will simply give you a code, like P0301, which you can then look up online. It would tell you there's a misfire in cylinder 1. However, modern, slightly more advanced scanners, many of which link directly to your smartphone via Bluetooth, go much further. They not only provide the code, but translate it into plain, understandable English. They will tell you what the code means, its potential causes, and even suggest possible fixes in order of likelihood. Imagine the power this gives you. Instead of walking into a repair shop blind and saying, "The light is on," you can walk in with confidence and say, "The scanner is showing a P0420 code, indicating catalyst system efficiency below threshold on bank 1. I'd like you to check the oxygen sensors and inspect for exhaust leaks before we discuss replacing the catalytic converter." The mechanic's entire approach changes. The opportunity for upselling diminishes. The temptation to pad the bill with unnecessary diagnostics evaporates. You have transformed from a mark into an informed consumer. Even if you have no intention of performing the repair yourself, this knowledge is your leverage. It protects you from being sold a laundry list of unneeded services. This small, inexpensive tool is the single most powerful weapon you can own in the fight for fair and honest auto repair. It turns confusion into clarity, fear into confidence, and restores the balance of power. Number 14. Debunk the myth of the dashboard's urgent warning. There it is again, that persistent little light on your dashboard that reads "Maintenance maintenance required, or service engine soon. It feels like an order, a non-negotiable command from the vehicle itself that something is wrong and requires immediate professional attention. This is a carefully crafted illusion. In the vast majority of vehicles, this light is not an indicator of a problem. It is not connected to any sensor that detects an actual fault. It is, quite simply, a glorified alarm clock. It's a mileage-based reminder programmed by the manufacturer to trigger at specific intervals, typically every 5,000 or 7,500 miles, to coincide with a recommended oil change. The primary purpose of this light is not to protect your engine, but to nudge you, the owner, back into the dealership's service bay, where they can perform the service and inevitably find other recommended items to address. You are in complete control of this system, and resetting it yourself is incredibly simple. While the exact procedure can vary between manufacturers, a common method, especially for many Toyota and Honda models, involves a few straightforward steps. First, turn the ignition key to the on position, but do not start the engine. Next, use the trip meter button to cycle through the displays until you are showing the main odometer reading, not one of the trip meters. Then, turn the ignition completely off. Now, press and hold the trip meter reset button. While continuing to hold that button down, turn the ignition key back to the on position. Keep holding the button. You will see the maintenance light flash a few times, perhaps a series of dashes will appear on the screen, and then the light will turn off. The system is reset. It's that easy. For your specific vehicle, a quick search online or a glance at your owner's manual will provide the exact sequence. By performing this simple reset, you reclaim ownership of your maintenance schedule. To enhance this, adopt a professional habit. Your vehicle likely has two trip meters, Trip A and Trip B. After every single oil change, reset one of them, say Trip B, to 0. This now serves as your personal real-time odometer for your oil life, giving you a precise record of how many miles you've driven since your last service. You are no longer reliant on a generic, pre-programmed light. You are managing your vehicle with precise, real-world data. Number 13. See through the smoke and mirrors of fuel additives. The aisles of every auto parts store are lined with brightly colored bottles making extraordinary claims. Boost horsepower, clean your entire fuel system, dramatically increase fuel economy, restore lost performance. It's a tempting proposition, a magic potion that can solve your engine's problems for just a few dollars. But for the most part, it is exceptionally clever marketing preying on a lack of chemical understanding. The unvarnished truth is that all modern gasoline, particularly from reputable top-tier brands, is already formulated with a sophisticated package of detergents and additives right from the refinery. These additives are designed to keep fuel injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers clean under normal operating conditions. The idea that a small, aftermarket bottle can drastically improve upon what multi-billion-dollar oil companies have already engineered is, in most cases, wishful thinking. Many of the fuel system cleaners on the market provide negligible, if any, real-world benefits. The minuscule improvement in fuel economy you might see for a single tank is often completely offset by the cost of the additive itself. Octane boosters are another major offender. Most commercially available octane boosters raise the octane level by mere points, not full numbers. To turn 87 octane into 91 would require a concentration of additives far beyond what is in a typical bottle. You are paying a premium for a psychological effect, not a performance one. However, this isn't to say all additives are useless. There are specific, targeted situations where a high-quality product can be beneficial. Certain brands, most notably those containing a high concentration of polyethyramine, or PEA, like Chevron's Techron or Gumout's Regain, have proven effective. PEA is a powerful solvent that can, over time, dissolve stubborn carbon deposits. These products are most effective in older, high-mileage vehicles that may have been run on lower-quality fuel for years, or in modern gasoline direct injection (GDI) engines, which are notoriously prone to carbon buildup on the intake valves. But for a well-maintained vehicle running on quality fuel, these are a solution in search of a problem. The real secret to a clean fuel system isn't found in a bottle. It's found in consistent maintenance, using high-quality gasoline, and ensuring your fuel filter is changed at the recommended intervals. Don't fall for the hype. Trust the fundamentals. Number 12. Reject the gamble of a shelf-worn battery. Everyone appreciates a bargain, but the battery is the absolute absolute worst place in your vehicle to cut corners. It is the heart of your car's electrical system, and a weak heart means the entire system is compromised. There's a hidden pitfall many consumers fall into when buying a new battery. They see a reputable brand on the shelf, the terminals are clean, and they assume it's fresh and ready to go. What they don't realize is that a car battery has a shelf life, and it begins to die the moment it's manufactured. A battery sitting on a store shelf for 6 months or a year has been slowly self-discharging that entire time. This process, called sulfation, occurs when the lead sulfate crystals on the battery's plates harden and expand, reducing the battery's ability to accept and hold a charge. You could be buying a new battery that is already 20% degraded before it ever sees your engine bay. Before you ever pick up a battery, you must become a detective. Look for the manufacturing date sticker. It's usually a small, round sticker on the side or top of the case. It will typically have a letter for the month, A for January, B for February, etc., and a number for the year, 5 for 2025. You should never purchase a battery that is more than 3 months old, and ideally, you should look for one that is less than 1 month old. This ensures you are starting with the freshest possible unit. But the process doesn't stop there. The second mistake people make is what's called plug and play. They take the battery home and immediately install it. A new battery from a store is almost never fully charged. It typically sits at around 75 to 80% state of charge. Installing an undercharged battery forces your vehicle's alternator to work overtime to bring it up to full capacity. This puts immense strain on the alternator, a much more expensive component, and can shorten its lifespan. The correct procedure is to take the new, fresh battery home and put it on a quality, multi-stage battery charger overnight. This properly conditions the battery, desulfates the plates, and ensures it is at 100% capacity when you install it. This single step can significantly extend the battery's service life. A fresh, fully charged battery provides stronger starts, which protects your starter motor and is far more resilient to the stresses of cold weather. Don't let a dusty, shelf-worn bargain leave you stranded. Number 11. Understand the danger of the extra squeeze. The click of the automatic shutoff on a gasoline pump is a precisely engineered signal. It is not a suggestion. It is telling you that the tank is full to its designated safe capacity. The common habit of topping off by squeezing the handle a few more times to round up to the next dollar is not just wasteful, it is actively damaging to your vehicle. This practice is born from a misunderstanding of how a modern fuel system works. That extra fuel has nowhere to go. It either spills down the side of your car, where the corrosive gasoline will eat away at your paint's clear coat, or it gets forced into the vapor recovery system. Every modern car has a charcoal canister as part of the evap system. This canister is filled with activated charcoal pellets designed to absorb gasoline vapors. Its job is to trap these fumes and then, at the appropriate time, release them back into the engine to be burned. It is designed to handle gas, not liquid. When you overfill the tank, you force raw, liquid gasoline into this canister. The liquid saturates the charcoal pellets, destroying their ability to absorb vapor. This can cause a number of serious problems. It can lead to a persistent fuel smell around the vehicle, poor engine performance, reduced fuel efficiency, and it will almost certainly trigger a check engine light. Replacing a saturated charcoal canister is an expensive and entirely avoidable repair. Furthermore, there is a safety element. Gasoline in your tank needs room to expand. Fuel is stored in cool, underground tanks at the gas station. When you pump it into your car's tank, especially on a hot day, it will warm up and expand in volume. The fuel tank is designed with an expansion space to accommodate this. If you have topped off the tank to the brim, the expanding fuel has nowhere to go and can be forced out of the vent systems, creating a dangerous fire hazard. The automatic shutoff is your ally. It is protecting your car and your wallet. When it clicks, the transaction is over. Stop fueling. Number 10. Let your engine breathe freely. There is a bizarre and persistent myth that a slightly dirty engine air filter works better than a clean one, with the theory being that the trapped dirt helps to filter out even smaller particles. This is dangerously incorrect. It's akin to arguing that a clogged drain works better than a clean one. An engine is, at its core, a giant air pump. The more efficiently it can draw in clean air, the more efficiently it can produce power. The air filter is the sole gatekeeper protecting the incredibly sensitive internal components of your engine from the abrasive dust, dirt, pollen, and debris in the outside world. As the filter does its job, it inevitably becomes clogged. This restriction forces the engine to work harder to draw in the air it needs for combustion. Think of it as trying to run a marathon while breathing through a straw. The consequences are multifaceted. Performance suffers, leading to sluggish acceleration. Fuel economy drops as the engine's computer tries to compensate for the lack of air by adjusting the fuel mixture. In the long term, this strain can cause premature wear on internal parts like pistons and cylinder walls. Replacing an engine air filter is one of the easiest and cheapest maintenance tasks you can perform, and it has an immediate and noticeable impact. The replacement interval can vary from 12,000 to 30,000 miles, but this is highly dependent on your driving conditions. If you frequently drive on dirt roads or in dusty industrial areas, you should inspect it every other oil change. Don't forget the other filter that affects you directly, the cabin air filter. This is the filter that cleans the air coming through your car's vents. When it gets clogged with dust, leaves, and other organic matter, it restricts airflow and can lead to a musty, unpleasant odor inside the car. A clogged cabin filter also puts a strain on your AC system's blower motor. Both filters are critical for the health of your car and its occupants. A clean filter allows your engine to breathe and you to breathe easy. Number 9. Perform the simple rattle test that saves engines. Buried deep within the plumbing of your engine is a small, inexpensive, and often forgotten valve that performs a monumental task. It's called the positive crankcase ventilation, or PCV, valve. During the normal combustion process, a small amount of high-pressure gas and unburned fuel, known as blow-by, escapes past the piston rings and enters the engine's crankcase. This is the area where your oil resides. These gases are harmful. They contaminate the oil and, if left unchecked, would build up pressure inside the crankcase, eventually forcing oil out through gaskets and seals, creating massive leaks. The PCV valve is the solution. It's a one-way valve that allows these harmful gases to be drawn out of the crankcase and rerouted back into the intake manifold, where they can be safely burned off in the combustion process. It's a brilliant, simple recycling system, but when it fails, the consequences are severe. A PCV valve can fail in two ways. It can get stuck closed or stuck open. If it gets clogged with oil sludge and carbon and sticks closed, pressure builds up in the crankcase. This can lead to rough idling, oil consumption, and, most damagingly, blown oil seals and gaskets, resulting in major, expensive oil leaks. If the valve gets stuck open, it creates a constant vacuum leak, leading to a lean air-fuel mixture. This can cause a check engine light, a rough idle, and hesitation on acceleration. The good news is that checking this valve is incredibly simple. Every 15,000 miles or so, locate the valve. A quick online search for your specific model will show you where it is. Remove it from its grommet and give it a vigorous shake. If you hear a distinct rattling sound like a marble in a spray paint can, the valve is likely functioning correctly. If you hear nothing, it's clogged and needs to be replaced. For a more definitive test, with the engine running, you can pinch the hose leading to the valve. You should feel a strong vacuum and hear a clicking sound as the valve closes. Replacement is a job that takes minutes, and the part itself usually costs less than $20. This simple 10-second rattle test can prevent hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars in engine repairs down the road by preventing the buildup of destructive engine sludge and pressure. Number 8. Unlock hidden power from your ignition system. Spark plugs are the unsung heroes of your engine. These small, simple-looking components are responsible for creating the controlled explosion in each cylinder that generates all of the engine's power. They operate in an incredibly hostile environment, enduring thousands of volts of electricity and extreme temperatures with every single firing. A strong, consistent spark is absolutely essential for efficient combustion. A weak or inconsistent spark leads to a cascade of problems: hard starting, poor acceleration, engine misfires, and a noticeable drop in fuel economy. Many modern spark plugs, especially those with iridium or platinum tips, are designed to last for up to 100,000 miles. This long service interval leads to a set-it-and-forget-it mentality, which is a mistake. Long before they fail completely, spark plugs can degrade in performance. The electrodes can wear down, increasing the gap the spark has to jump. This requires more energy from the ignition coil and can lead to a weaker spark. Carbon deposits can also build up on the plug's tip, fouling it and further inhibiting the spark. It's a wise practice to pull a spark plug or two for inspection every 30,000 miles. What you see can tell you a lot about the health of your engine. A plug with a light tan or grayish deposit on the insulator tip indicates a healthy, properly running engine. A plug that is blackened and sooty suggests an overly rich fuel mixture or a weak ignition system. A plug coated in oil means you may have worn piston rings or valve seals. When replacing spark plugs, it is absolutely critical to use the exact type recommended by your vehicle's manufacturer. Do not be tempted by marketing claims of miracle plugs. The engine's computer and ignition system are calibrated for a specific plug with a specific heat range. Using the wrong plug can lead to poor performance and even engine damage. Fresh, correctly gapped spark plugs ensure a complete burn of the air-fuel mixture. This translates to a smoother idle, crisper throttle response, better fuel efficiency, and a cleaner running engine. For a small investment in parts and time, you can restore a significant amount of your engine's original performance and vitality. Number 7. Expand your definition of essential fluids. When most people think about their car's fluids, their mind immediately goes to engine oil. While engine oil is undeniably critical, it is just one of many vital fluids that your car relies on to function. Ignoring the others is a gamble with very expensive consequences. Mechanics often contribute to this neglect by using the term lifetime fluid, particularly when it comes to transmission fluid. This is one of the most misleading phrases in the automotive world. There is no such thing as a lifetime fluid. Transmission fluid is a highly complex blend of oils and detergents that lubricates, cools, and provides the hydraulic pressure needed to shift gears. Over time and through countless heat cycles, this fluid breaks down. It loses its lubricating properties and becomes contaminated with microscopic particles of metal from the clutch packs. Continuing to run on this old, degraded fluid is the #1 cause of automatic transmission failure, a repair that can easily cost more than the vehicle is worth. Your owner's manual will specify a service interval, often between 60,000 and 100,000 miles. Adhere to it religiously. The same principle applies to your other fluids. Coolant, or antifreeze, does more than just prevent your engine from overheating in the summer and freezing in the winter. It contains crucial anti-corrosion additives that protect the internal passages of your engine, radiator, and heater core from rusting from the inside out. Once these additives are depleted, the fluid becomes acidic and starts to eat away at the metal. Brake fluid, as mentioned earlier, absorbs water, which can lead to a spongy pedal and internal corrosion of brake lines and components. Power steering fluid and differential fluid also break down over time and require periodic replacement. Make it a habit to check all your fluid levels and conditions at least once a month. Learn what they should look and smell like when they are fresh. Healthy transmission fluid is typically bright red and has a sweet smell. When it's old, it turns brown or black and smells burnt. Keeping all of these fluids fresh is one of the cheapest forms of insurance you can buy for your vehicle's most expensive components. Number 6. Become a master of tire husbandry. Your tires are the single most important safety feature on your vehicle. They are the only 4 points of contact, each about the size of your hand, between a multi-ton machine and the road. Yet, they are frequently the most neglected component. A simple visual check is not enough. You cannot accurately gauge tire pressure by eyeballing it. A tire can be dangerously underinflated and still look normal. Low tire pressure is a silent killer. It causes the tire's sidewalls to flex excessively, which generates a massive amount of heat. This heat breaks down the rubber and internal structure of the tire, dramatically increasing the risk of a catastrophic blowout at high speed. Underinflation also causes the outer edges of the tread to wear down prematurely and significantly hurts your fuel economy by increasing rolling resistance. The other half of this equation is wheel alignment. Your car's wheels are not set perfectly straight. They are precisely angled in 3 different directions: camber, caster, and toe, to ensure stable handling and even tire wear. Hitting a pothole, bumping a curb, or simply the wear and tear of driving can knock these precise angles out of specification. When your alignment is off, the car may pull to one side, or the steering wheel may be crooked when you're driving straight. More insidiously, it will cause your tires to wear out rapidly and unevenly. You might see the inside or outside edge of a tire worn completely bald, while the rest of the tread looks looks fine. This is a classic sign of an alignment issue. Get in the habit of checking your tire pressure with a quality gauge at least once a month when the tires are cold. The correct pressure is listed on a sticker inside your driver's side door jamb, not on the tire's sidewall. Have your alignment checked every 10,000 miles or any time you install new tires. Proper pressure and alignment will not only save you a fortune in tires and fuel, but will also provide a safer, smoother, and more stable ride. Number 5. Conduct the pre-failure rubber inspection. Under the hood of your car is a network of rubber belts and hoses that are the circulatory and respiratory system of your engine. They work tirelessly in a brutal environment of extreme heat, vibration, and exposure to oil and chemicals. They receive very little attention until one of them fails, at which point your vehicle comes to an immediate and grinding halt. A proactive, monthly inspection of these components can save you from the immense inconvenience and potential danger of a roadside breakdown. Start with the belts. Most modern cars have a single, long, serpentine belt that snakes around multiple pulleys to drive the alternator, power steering pump, water pump, and air conditioning compressor. With the engine off, visually inspect the entire length of the belt. You are looking for cracks, fraying at the edges, or sections that appear shiny or glazed. These are all indicators that the rubber is aging and losing its integrity. Next, inspect the hoses, primarily the large upper and lower radiator hoses and the smaller heater hoses. Squeeze them firmly when the engine is cool. They should feel firm and pliable. If a hose feels mushy, spongy, or rock hard and brittle, it is nearing the end of its life. Also, look for any bulges or swollen areas, especially near the clamps. This is a sign that the internal structure of the hose has failed, and it could burst at any moment. A failed serpentine belt will instantly cause you to lose your power steering and your alternator to stop charging the battery. If it also drives the water pump, your engine will overheat in a matter of minutes. A burst radiator hose will result in a rapid loss of all your engine coolant, leading to catastrophic overheating and potentially a warped cylinder head or blown head. Gasket, one of the most expensive engine repairs possible. These failures rarely happen without warning. The cracks and bulges are the warning signs. Catching them early and replacing the worn component on your own terms in your driveway is infinitely better than waiting for it to fail on a crowded highway during your morning commute. Number 4. Respect the engine's warm-up ritual. On a cold morning, the desire to get warm air blowing into the cabin as quickly as possible is completely understandable. You get in, start the car, and immediately crank the heater fan to its highest setting and the temperature dial all the way to hot. While this might seem harmless, you are inadvertently prolonging the engine's most vulnerable period. Your car's heater works like a small radiator. It draws heat directly from the engine's coolant. When you turn the heater on full blast immediately after a cold start, you are essentially using it to remove heat from an engine that is desperately trying to build heat. The engine needs to reach its optimal operating temperature, typically around 195 to 220 degrees Fahrenheit, as quickly as possible. At this temperature, the oil is at its correct viscosity, metal parts have expanded to their proper tolerances, and the combustion process is at its most efficient. By blasting the heater, you are acting as an external cooling system, stealing that precious thermal energy and significantly extending the time it takes for the engine to warm up. During this extended warm-up period, the oil remains thicker and does not lubricate as effectively. The engine runs less efficiently, burning more fuel and producing more harmful emissions. More importantly, it experiences a higher rate of internal wear. Metal parts that have not yet fully expanded and sealed can allow for more blow-by and increased friction. The smart, engine-friendly approach is to practice patience. Start the car and let the temperature gauge begin to climb. Wait until it has moved at least a quarter of the way up from cold before you turn on the heater. By allowing the engine to build its heat first, you ensure it reaches its efficient operating state quickly, minimizing wear and fuel consumption. Then, once it has the heat to spare, you can enjoy all the warmth you want, guilt-free, knowing you haven't sacrificed your engine's health for a few moments of immediate comfort. Number 3. Abandon the cold rev habit. When you start your car after it has been sitting for several hours, virtually all all of the engine oil has drained down from the cylinder heads and internal components and is sitting in the oil pan at the bottom of the engine. When you turn the key, the oil pump immediately begins its work, but it takes time for that cold, thick oil to be pressurized and circulated throughout the entire engine to lubricate all the critical moving parts. This period can last anywhere from 30 seconds to over a minute, depending on the outside temperature and the viscosity of the oil. During these first moments of operation, the engine is in a state of boundary lubrication. The metal-on-metal contact between components like the camshafts, lifters, pistons, and bearings is at its absolute highest. Now, imagine revving the engine hard during this vulnerable period. You are placing immense stress and speed on components that have little to no protective film of oil on them. This is one of the most damaging things you can do to an engine. That ticking or tapping sound you sometimes hear for a few moments after a cold start is not just a noise. It is the audible sound of your valve train starving for oil. Each tick represents a moment of metal-to-metal impact. Revving the engine multiplies that impact and accelerates wear exponentially. The proper procedure is to start the engine and let it idle for 30 to 60 seconds. This is all the time it needs for the oil pressure to build and for the lubricant to reach the uppermost parts of the engine. The old advice of letting a car idle for many minutes to warm up is outdated and counterproductive for modern, fuel-injected engines. The best way to warm up an engine is to drive it gently. After that initial 30-second idle, begin driving, but keep the RPMs low and avoid hard acceleration until the temperature gauge reaches its normal operating position. This allows not only the engine, but also the transmission and other drivetrain components to warm up gradually and evenly. Patience at startup is a long-term investment in your engine's lifespan. Number 2. Recognize the perils of the short trip. The convenience of jumping in the car for a quick 1-mile trip to the store or post office comes with a hidden and highly destructive cost to your engine. These short trips are, without question, the hardest miles a vehicle can endure. Every time you start a cold engine, a significant amount of water vapor is produced as a byproduct of combustion. This is perfectly normal. On a longer drive, the engine reaches its full operating temperature, and this moisture is harmlessly evaporated and expelled through the exhaust system. The problem arises on short trips where the engine never gets hot enough for this evaporation to occur. That water vapor condenses inside the engine crankcase and mixes with your engine oil. This moisture contamination is catastrophic for the oil's ability to lubricate. It dilutes the oil, turning it into a thin, watery sludge that cannot provide an adequate protective film for moving parts. Friction and wear increase dramatically, but it gets even worse. This leftover moisture combines with other combustion byproducts like sulfur to form corrosive acids. You are essentially creating a bath of metal-eating acid inside your engine that slowly chews away at bearings, piston rings, and other critical surfaces. Furthermore, because the oil never reaches its proper operating temperature, it doesn't flow as well, and its detergent additives don't have a chance to work effectively to clean the engine's internals. Sludge begins to form, clogging narrow oil passages and starving vital components of lubrication. The solution is simple in principle. Let your engine stretch its legs. Whenever possible, combine your short errands into a single, longer trip. Make a conscious effort to ensure that every time you start the car, you drive it for at least 15 to 20 minutes, long enough for the oil temperature to get high enough to boil off the accumulated moisture. An occasional long drive on the highway is one of the best things you can do for your engine's health. It cleans out deposits, purifies the oil, and allows the entire system to operate as it was designed. Number 1. Become proactive in the face of the seasons. Your car is not immune to the weather. It is deeply affected by the swings between summer heat and winter cold. Being a proactive owner means anticipating these changes and preparing your vehicle accordingly, rather than reacting to a problem when it's too late. As winter approaches, the cold temperatures wage a multi-front war on your car. The chemical reactions inside your battery slow down, reducing its cranking power at the exact time when the cold, thick engine oil requires more power to turn over. This is a brutal combination for a weak or aging battery. Have your battery load tested before the first freeze. Cold also causes the air in your tires to contract, leading to a drop in pressure. Check your tire pressure weekly during cold snaps. Most importantly, consider your oil. The numbers on a bottle of oil, like 5W30, represent its viscosity at different temperatures. The first number, followed by the W W for winter indicates its flow rate when cold. A lower number means it flows better in the cold. If you live in a region with harsh winters, switching to an oil like 0W20 or 5W30 can provide faster lubrication and better protection during those critical cold starts. Summer brings the opposite set of challenges. High ambient temperatures put an immense load on your engine's cooling system. This is the time to inspect your coolant level and condition. Hot weather can also thin out your engine oil, reducing its ability to protect under high loads. If you do a lot of heavy towing or live in a scorching hot climate, stepping up to a slightly thicker oil, like a 10WW40, might be recommended by your manufacturer for better viscosity and film strength under extreme heat. Beyond the fluids, think about the other components. Winter requires winter-specific windshield washer fluid that won't freeze, and perhaps a set of dedicated snow tires for safety. Summer is when you'll be glad you checked your AC system's performance and replaced your sun-baked, brittle windshield wiper blades. Preparing for the seasons is about more than just comfort. It's about fundamentally understanding that your vehicle's needs change with the calendar. By staying one step ahead of Mother Nature, you ensure reliability, safety, and longevity, no matter what the forecast holds.